Imagine a world without choices. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. UIC objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. You see, the sovereignty of every citizen should be protected. Life, liberty and property of everyone should be equal with safety.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson, and tonight we have a very interesting discussion. We're going to talk about paying the price. There's a price on everything, and each of us must pay the price for whatever we want out of life. Be it for a career goal, building a business, or fixing our political system, there is always a price. There's always a price to pay. So our topic for today is paying the price. So welcome once again. I'm looking forward to having this chat with you, and I want to thank you in advance for spending some of your precious time with me today, and I have some special guests as well that will be spending some time with us. So big up to all of you out there here in Jamaica and around the world who are joining us today. I see Carol Spence is on quite quickly, and Norman Smith as well. Welcome to you. I know some of you are on Facebook, some are on YouTube, and others on Twitter and so on. So thank you so much for being here. I'm particularly interested in this topic because it will hopefully shape the destiny and the future of our country. The UIC is no ordinary political party. We're a special movement, a special kind of movement. Some people call us the People's Party, and others call us the Education Party. Why? Because of our focus on uniting, liberating, and empowering the people of Jamaica to take charge of our own country and our destiny. Now, those three words are critical: unity, liberty, and empowerment. They're very critical because they form the ethos of the Marcus Garvey movement, which has been sidetracked and marginalized, and which we're trying to resuscitate. Not so much to talk about Marcus Garvey, but to talk about what really is important for the race of people that we call Africans, and in particular, the subset here in Jamaica that I believe is going to lead the rest of the world. So to help us reach more people, please, I'm asking you to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and then take a few seconds to tell your friends and your family, your co-workers, your neighbors, to also do the same. This will help us to overcome the media blockade so we can reach more Jamaicans on our very low budget. As you know, there's been a concerted effort to block, cancel, even destroy the UIC from within or without. The idea is to keep us out of the sight of the people while chipping away at our credibility so as to maintain the status quo. Yes, they want you to think that the UIC can't win. They want you to think that the people in the UIC are not credible. They want you to give up on the idea of replacing their two colonial parties with your own. But we cannot afford to allow them to succeed. Exactly what they did to Marcus Garvey and his Grassroots party, they want to do to us. Marcus Garvey created a movement a grassroots movement, and a crowd-funded political party, a party that would represent the interest of the people and fight for the liberation of the people. They actually succeeded in crushing him and his dream of a united, liberated, and empowered African race. But we must not allow them to do that to you, to me, or to our movement this time around. This time must be different. This time we must stand firmly on the side of truth and not allow anyone or any organization or any set of people, local or international, to derail us from our mission of saving our country. So even after this live is finished, I want you to go back to it and add your feedback, positive or negative. If you don't agree with something, say it. If you agree, let us know. Let us know exactly what you think about what the UIC is offering. And then tell us if you're willing to help us to make the change. Now, when you do that, it actually encourages the algorithm to send this to other people. So please, your input, your liking and subscribing and commenting is very important. Okay? So let us get into our topic of paying the price. But before we do so, I want to take a few minutes to welcome two very important guests that will be joining us tonight. They're very special people. One of them come from way back in the beginning of the UIC. So he will tell you about himself and maybe a little hint about his early involvement with the movement. And then we have somebody who is more recent, but is playing a pivotal role in the organization right now. And you'll learn about her as well. But at the end of the day, it's not about me or them. It's about we, the people of Jamaica, and the kind of Jamaica that we want to have. So please welcome, as I bring them on one at a time, Miss Lisa Abdul and Mr. Craig Mackenzie. Welcome, lady and gentlemen. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I'm doing fine. Today was very sunny over here in St. Elizabeth. We had a slight drizzle of rain. The grass is very green. The pumpkin them big. The mango them a drop off of the tree. The bees them a buzz, and the river still a flow. So it's pretty good over here in St. Elizabeth. How is it in your neck of the woods?
It's been raining all morning.
Raining.
Here in Jersey.
Okay, all right, so raining. All right, so let's begin. Let's kick off with Lisa. Lisa, tell us a little about yourself and what your role is in the UIC, if any.
Yes, again, thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Abdul. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. I'm originally, of course, from Jamaica. I went to Marlamont Primary School, then Old Arbor High School before I came to the US when I was 13. Where I, went to Syracuse University, got my bachelor's, and then 10 years later, I went back and got my MBA in finance. So I'm currently working for a school district in New Jersey. So thank you again for having me.
Wow, so I have to be careful what I say because, we have some bright people on the call here, Craig, MBA in finance and all them things there. So wonderful, Miss Lisa. Good to have you as chair of the Finance Committee. I know on that committee you're sitting with Miss Emma Gordon, who is the previous finance chair. There is Elsa Tremblay from Montreal and on the finance committee. There's Mr. Cleveland Harris. Where is he from again? What state?
I think Texas.
Texas, Cleveland Harris from Texas on the committee. And then there is the former General Secretary and now the VP for Cornwall, Mr. Chase Neal, who's on that committee as well. The chairman, Mr. Winston Wright, is on it. And of course, our young and vibrant and vivacious treasurer, Naika Williams, is also on that committee. So a star-studded committee. Well, by the way, I'm on it too, as well as Mrs. Patterson. But you guys are the more important members. The organization in check. You pay attention to our finances. You ask the right questions. You drill us. You meet with the treasurer as often as you wish to look at stuff. So thank you for your contribution to your country, to this movement, and we really appreciate it. All right?
Thank
now,
you.
Mr. Craig Mackenzie, tell us a little about yourself and any role you may or may not have had in the UIC.
Yeah. Well, good evening, good night, good morning to everyone. My name is Craig Mackenzie. I was born and raised in Jamaica, spent half my life exactly in Jamaica, moved to a cold place called Canada. And, I'm in the automotive industry. Grew up in a family-run business back home. Came here, got involved with the same automotive industry, where I actually met Joseph, Mr. Patterson. And I remember sitting around the dinner table, and he was explaining the vision he had for Jamaica under a banner called the United Independence Congress. And we had quite a lot of discussions with, family and friends. And it was from there I joined the UIC, then became the first treasurer of the movement. That lasted for maybe a year or so, and then I had to relinquish that that role. Been a strong proponent for good governance. Never one day backed away from it, even though there were lots of naysayers, even around the dinner table. Some people never thought that this movement would actually get any traction. And look at where it is today, and it still hasn't reach its full potential, but at least I remember those young days. It seemed very daunting and very laboring, and it still continues to be very laboring. And I always say anything that doesn't come with some sort of pain or pressure, then you should question it. I tell even my own children that, and so I'm still here. Liking and sharing and talking to people about the movement. Even at work, I've met Jamaicans, some of my customers. I've introduced them to the UIC. Most of them already know about the UIC. These are the people in the diaspora. Mm-hmm. So when they go down, they talk to their family and their friends about it. I've met people who are, there's a question sign, but everyone have their own opinion about the UIC. Some people are skeptical, some people are not, rightfully so, because of the history Jamaica has. But all in all, I think that Jamaica is better off under a UIC government.
Well said, well said. Could not have said it better myself. I do remember those early days, Craig, in 2013, 2014, even 2015. You're cutting yourself a bit short. 2015, when we had our first physical launch on the ground on the farm here in St. Elizabeth, with 100 people.
Yes.
We turned up and we put up the tent and did all the stuff. It's been a long time coming, very, very difficult, very challenging, but we've stuck it out and we're here today. And I want to thank you and Janice Collins.
Yes.
She was the first general secretary. And she hosted the first barbecue in her backyard in Pickering, in Ajax.
Ajax.
She hosted her first barbecue. That was her first fundraising event. We had Jamaicans from all over Toronto who came to that event and they helped kick it off, and it was lovely. I was warmly received. We made some good contacts. Then we started to grow, and then the election came up in 2016, and that's when we realized that some people, even though they're supporting the UIC, when it's election time, they kind of went back to their parties. The fever hit them, and they just kind of, and you have some now who came with ulterior motives, like the gay movement, who were behind us. We never realized it was the gay movement. We never know, but they joined us and they're offering money and everything, and we're like, okay, that's nice, but we were cautious. And as we dig into it some more, we realize that I don't just so. And we had to part ways because they couldn't accept our position that we're not here to push any special interest agenda. We're here to push the agenda of good governance, which includes everybody. So gay, straight, black, white, in between, will work with you if you are going to work for good governance with us. You are then free to pursue your other agendas, and if you can convince people, fine, but we're not going to push that for you. And we're not going to change our governance model. We're not going to change our policies to push your agenda. So we went through that period and many more periods, and we're still here standing. And by the way, there are more struggles to come. It's not over yet. There's whole heap more, because the more we get closer to the prize, is the hotter the bottle going to get. And you know, my grandmother used to say, the hotter the bottle, the hotter the buckle, the sweeter the victory. That's what she said to them. The hotter the buckle, the sweeter the victory.
You have to say it right.
So we are going to fight hard, and we are going to succeed. So our topic for today, my guests and everybody online, is paying the price. So what do you want out of life? This is a rhetorical question I'm asking. What do you want out of life? Now, whatever it is that you want out of life, you will have to pay the price. That's just a fact. No one can pay the price for you. They can help you along the way, but ultimately, if you want to achieve anything great, if you want to achieve anything worthwhile, you cannot depend on others to pay the price for you. Only you can pay the price. If you want to rise on your job or in your chosen profession, you have to study hard. You have to learn. You have to learn quickly. You have to apply your skills effectively. And you have to have a pleasing personality, or you're destined to fail. I know you guys understand this because you have gone through many opportunities, jobs, and business. You have to pay the price. No one can study for you. No one can learn for you. No one can do the work for you or show up for you and get along with others for you. You have to show up for you. You have to deliver, or someone else will take the prize and take your place if you do not take responsibility for yourself. What do you say to that, Mr. McKenzie?
I agree with you 100%. Anything, my daddy used to say, anything good you want in life, you have to work for it, work hard, but work smart at the same time. And you will achieve it. And I believe that if the Jamaican people really understand what is at stake here, I think they will. Let me go back a little bit. I think you have some people calling the UIC the education party, and I think that is a very key piece of the UIC, because the other two colonial parties have not done any sort of education campaign for people to understand what exactly is the role of government in a society.
Amen.
And government are their people just like you and me. And if government, the people like you and me, if they don't care for the people who employ them, then what exactly are they saying to those same people?
Exactly. And the funny thing is, we're going to talk about it in a bit, but who really employed them? We're going to understand that in a second. If I want to also say this in the question of what do you want? So let's say, this now comes to you, Lisa. Let's say you want to build a successful business. If you want to build a successful business, you have to do the planning. You have to do the organizing. You have to do the implementing. You have to do what it takes to make that business work. You have to ensure the product is of the right quality. You have to market it effectively. You have to deliver it to your customers in a way that makes them happy and coming back for more. You have to pay the price. No one can start or build your business for you, suffering the long hours for you, thinking through the various obstacles and processes for you. You can hire good help, but they will either waste your time and your money, or they'll take over the company if you do not run the show and run it well. What do you say about that, Lisa?
Well, just to say, let me just start by saying anything good or worth having is going to take sacrifice. Nothing is going to just fall into your lap, just like that. For anyone, for some, coming from my own personal experience and starting startup companies and so on and so forth, you have your vision of how you want things to be run. You have a vision of how you the end goal where you're trying to get to. And for what we want the Jamaican people to understand is, and this is Jamaicans all over the world, right? We're looking for good governance. We're looking for a Jamaica that's safe for everyone, right? And to get to that point, we need to put in our own sacrifice, right? To get there.
Simple. Yeah.
We have to buy in on the vision. This is our mission to create a better future for our kids, a better future for those who are currently there. We understand the struggles that everyone's going through. I've been there, right? We grew up in Jamaica. So we understand the struggle. And I remember as a kid growing up, I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, what can I do to help better Jamaica? And this is as a kid growing up, you know? And I remember praying every night, what can be done? I have family still living in Jamaica right now who are struggling. And even though you try and help out and send what you can each month, the struggle doesn't end. It will only end when we have a UIC in government.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. So if we want a safe, clean, and orderly real republic, if we want a safe, clean, and orderly real Republic of Jamaica, where everyone can live, can earn, and retire with dignity in true liberty, you and I will have to pay the price for that too. So yes, we have to pay the price to get our education, to move up in our professions. We personally have to pay those prices. If you want to build your business, you have to pay the price to build your business. And if we, the people now, want a certain kind of Jamaica, a Jamaica that we can not only be proud of, but we can be safe in, a Jamaica that is truly independent, then we're going to have to do something to make that happen. Jamaica will not become what you or we want without you and I paying the price. Of course, making Jamaica into the paradise she can be is not a personal ambition that can be achieved by me or by you alone. It requires a whole heap of way. Your education was your project. Your job was your project. Your business was your project, but Jamaica a FIBA project. We have to rise up and get that done. What do you say to that, Mr. McKenzie?
That is so true. And I was just reflecting on someone that said in an interview with you, I won't call the name, and the person said that they were asking you, how do you get funding? And you said people in the diaspora and people locally. So the person said, well, the people who you want to donate, they don't have it. And your response to that person was, yes, they have it. And then the person responded by saying, well, their kids have to buy school uniform. They have to get lunch money, books, bus fare, light bill have to pay, etc., etc., etc. Where is the extra funding coming from to donate to the UIC? Where is the 1,500 Jamaican dollars coming from to donate? Likewise, in foreign countries, you have some single parents working 3 and 4 jobs. Where is that extra money coming from when all the expenses, comes out? And your response to all of that was, yes, they do have the money. If they don't find that money, don't find that $1,500, don't find that 1,000 Jamaican dollars, don't find that $25, American, US, British pound, whatever it is, then you will not have that clean, orderly society where people can come back home, or people who are there can live, earn, work, and retire in dignity. So, after the education goes out, then I believe it is paramount for each and every one of us to help the UIC to gain ground or gain some traction into rescuing the country from what has happened to us over the last 50, 60, 70 years. And I always say, what have you got to lose? I mean, if we're at the bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up.
But up. Absolutely.
So I firmly, I hear a lot of naysayers, and I hear a lot of people who really want the UIC to do well, because I keep abreast with current affairs of what is happening in Jamaica daily on different news streams through YouTube. The current topic now is the job descriptions now for parliamentarians and MPs. And, slowly and steady, and I believe it's because of the UIC, that people are slowly waking up to the idea that Jamaica can be better. We can do better, and we must expect better from our parliamentarians, from people in government who we put in charge to run our society and run our affairs. And I believe that the time is ripe now. The time is now.
I tell you, we have the UIC in its. We have never been elected to government. We have never gotten a dime of taxpayers' money, but yet still we have been influencing the government a great deal. Everything that they've been doing for the last few years have been influenced by us. Every attempt that they have made to shift their narrative, to shift their positions. For example, during the COVID crisis, we caused Jamaica to be one of the lowest uptake of the injection because of our actions. We said you can't force the people, and we galvanized the people and caused them to have to back off. We caused them to be talking more about going to a republic. Yes, they're trying to trick us still, but we have pushed that agenda. Now they're talking about politicians living in the constituencies where they represent all kind of different things. They're now being forced to try to see if they can get ahead of it and try to own the UIC policies as their own. So they're trying to take over the wording. Now what they're going to do though is still a trick. They're going to try to own the statements in the minds of the people, because the news media isn't carrying us. So let's say the UIC says we should have land reparation, and that the government was always in a position to give us the land back. You quickly hear they did this. They had Damien Crawford go out and say we should have land reparation. And he gets the publicity. They have him get it. So the people hear, oh, Damien Crawford said land reparation. They don't know that the UIC is pushing it, and so they grabbed it now to kind of put it forward. The UIC said job description. The Prime Minister now said job description. So anything that they can get to jump on, they jump on it, and then try to own the phrases. Now, in the end, they're not going to implement it. They're not going to do it effectively, or if at all. But they would have neutralized the UIC, because when we're saying, oh, we hear that already. We hear that already. And so that's a strategy. So we have to overcome that. But let's get back to our main discussion here now. So the next question we have to ask ourselves is, what then is the price that we have to pay for this real new Jamaica? What is the price that we need to pay for Jamaica, a Jamaica that is safe, clean, and orderly, for a real republic? For Jamaica where our individual and collective sovereignty is fully protected, what is the price? For Jamaica where every community looks, smells, and feels like a tourist resort, and people have fixed addresses and sidewalk and street lights and playgrounds and properly built and maintained and staffed community centers. What is the price? What is the price we have to pay for a Jamaica with land reparation that returns the land to those whose ancestors it was stolen from, those who were enslaved. What is the price we have to pay for a Jamaica where every child has the nutrition, the education, the healthcare, and the housing they need to succeed? What is the price we have to pay for Jamaica where the laws, the regulations, and the taxations are designed to uplift the small man and the small woman as opposed to protecting the big men and big women and big business from them? What is the price we have to pay for Jamaica where those in the diaspora can vote remotely, run for office as dual citizens, so we can reverse the brain drain and they can return home duty-free with all their belongings to a country which greets them on the red carpet and give them the kind of support they need to come here and really bring their knowledge and their skills and whatever resources they have to bear to build this nation up? What is the price we have to pay for those in the diaspora to not be punished for being forced out of Jamaica by bad governance into becoming economic refugees? Because that's what you are. You have been made economic refugees because the system failed so many of us, and we have to leave and go abroad and try to make something. And then they even teach us to despise the diaspora, to say, you run well left, you don't have no say, even though so much remittance is given. Let's not be foolish. We must become sensible now and say, wait a minute, we have 4 million Jamaicans living abroad. Let's bring them all into the net. Let's welcome them and bring them together and say, yeah, man, you can vote remotely, absentee ballot. Yeah, man, you can run for office. You can come back, still keep your US citizenship and run for office, because we don't care about that. We care about the knowledge you're going to bring back and the skills you're going to bring back and help us from out of the claws of these people who are killing us. We want you to come back duty-free. All your goods, bring it back with you. Pay no taxes to bring it back into Jamaica. We want that because we're one Jamaica and we're stronger together. So what is the price we have to pay for this Jamaica? The price we have to pay is to first understand what it means to create this country. We have to come to terms with a fundamental reality that there is a price to pay, and that price has been paid. Yeah, the PSOJ oligarchy is paying that price. They pay over $300, $400, $500 million over a 4 to 5 weeks period to win every election that has ever been held in Jamaica, and they've never lost a single election. Did you know that? Did you know that the PSOJ has funded, paid for every election since 1944, and they have never lost a single election up until now? Yes, for 80 years now, the PSOJ oligarchs have been paying the price to which each and every election has been funded. Every election held since 1944, they have paid the price and they've never lost. They pay for the operations. They pay for the operations of the two colonial parties year-round. And then during election periods, they pay again. In 2020, they paid over $300 million. And we're about to see them pay a big number for the next election. And they pay a big amount that we don't get any reporting on outside of the election cycle. They pay for the prime minister and the opposition leader, and they pay for the MPs' activities throughout our communities. When you see them driving around and going on, they get the money from one of two sources: our tax dollars or from the PSOJ oligarchs. The PSOJ oligarchs pay for the road shows, they pay for the meetings, they pay for the refreshments, they pay for the t-shirts, they pay for the handouts, they pay for the vote buying. Yeah? We the people now just enjoy the entertainment. We enjoy the paid advertisements and laugh about it. We enjoy the dub plates and the clocks. We enjoy the big billboards and see who them have on it and how them look nice or whatever. We enjoy the jingles, you know, prosperity time now. Yeah, deliverance is near. Yeah, money will jingle in your pocket. Log on to progress. We enjoyed it. We also participate in the cussing of one side or the other. We laugh about it. We laugh about who said which one is more corrupt than the other one. We get into the debates and argument who was better when PNP was in power, when GLP was in power, when Manley was in, when Siaga was in, when Patterson was in, when Portia was. We have all of those discussions, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, we see that every year, every election cycle, and we think that we're participating in something that we have a key role in, but we have abdicated that responsibility a long time. Not because we wanted to abdicate it, but because we were tricked into it. We all fell for the divide and conquer trick. So they divided us and conquered us. They tricked us. We fell for the distractions and the deceptions. They distracted us with partisan politics, noise, each one calling the other one all kind of names, and we got caught up into that. The deceptions. They've come up with nice programs to trick us, moving the tax threshold, offering free water or piece of electricity bill or something. Yeah, the trick of having a choice when all we were doing was legalizing or legitimizing the PSOJ oligarchs' theft of our land, our lives, and our livelihood. That's all we're doing. They just needed us to participate in the process to legitimize them, to legalize the theft of our resources. So we, by going to vote for them, gave them the authority to steal from us. The more we voted for the two choices, the more we voted for the two choices that they paid for to deceive us into thinking we had a choice, is the more they tightened the vice grip around our necks and made us more and more their wage slaves. What do you say to that, Miss Lisa?
So true. So true. And it's been going on for so long that it's just in people's mindset that this is how it's supposed to be. It's become, I hate to say the word, normalcy, but it's going to take some time to get people out of that mindset. And that's where the UIC has to, comes in and trying to educate. Like we said, this is more than just an education. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. It's more than an education, government. Right. We have to get our people to a place where they could see beyond that, right?
There's a question here from Sonia Ellis that I want to jump on answering before I let you in, Craig. Sonia Ellis, let's see if I can get it on the screen. An interesting question. She says, is there space in JA to bring back 4 million people? I love answering this question.
I saw that one.
Like, who want to try to answer it? I love to answer it, but anybody want to try? I mean, I love the question.
The simple answer I'll give is yes.
Of course. And let me explain why. Let me explain to the person. Miss Ellis, I'm glad you asked the question. Is there space in Jamaica to bring back 4 million people? The answer is yes. And here's the scientific solution to that problem, the scientific answer. Singapore has 6 million people in Singapore. 6 million. Let's do the math. Where's my calculator here? Singapore has 6 million people. I love this little calculator. 6 million people Singapore has. Remember, 6 million. Now, Singapore is the size of St. Thomas. The size of St. Thomas. And they have 6 million people. And by the way, 93% of those 6 million people own their own home in a land the size of St. Thomas. Now, St. Thomas is Jamaica's smallest parish. Yeah. So if you put St. Thomas into the rest of Jamaica, it goes 14 times. But in fact, it goes 15 times. So Jamaica is 15 times the size of Singapore. So let's multiply 6 million people. Yeah, 6 million. 6 followed by 6 zeros. And we're going to multiply that by 15, since it can hold 15 Singapores in it. That gives you 90 million persons. Jamaica can hold 90 million persons if we needed to. 90 million Jamaicans can fit into Jamaica, because 6 million fit in a St. Thomas. That's the size of Singapore. So can Jamaica hold 4 million people? Let me put this in context for you. Canada has about 30 million people, and Canada is one of the largest countries in the world in terms of population. They whole heap of space, and they have 30 million people living in Canada. Jamaica can hold 3 times the amount of people in Canada. Now, mind you, that would be very high density, but it can be done if we had to. So it means we can easily hold all 7 million Jamaicans at home and abroad coming together if they wanted to come home. And I can tell you this, when the UIC done with Jamaica, 2 things is going to happen. 1, every Jamaican will want to come home. And 2, we have to start requiring a visa for persons to come to Jamaica. Because we're going to have to stop people from coming in. They're going to want to just come in droves. Why? It will be the freest country on earth. It will be the safest country, one of the safest country, one of the cleanest country, one of the most beautiful places in which to live. It will have the best form of governance the world has ever seen, the world's true republic, first true republic. And so you're going to have people just banging on the doors trying to get in, and we're only going to let in the brightest set of people in addition to our Jamaicans. Yeah, so we're going to be a force to reckon with. But I want to share something with you now. I want to share with you some newspaper information to kind of highlight what I'm talking about in terms of the fact that Miss Sonia Ellis says she's sorry she won't be around to see that. No worry, Miss Sonia. Marcus Garvey isn't around to see what we're doing now, but we're still getting there. I'm going to share with you now a newspaper clipping that is supposed to help you to see clearly some of what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can bring this on. Let's go here. So I want to show you, first of all, this article in the Gleaner. Here we go. Why is this thing on the top here though? Let me see if I can. Yep, here we go. There we go. Good. So you can see that. You can see the $300 million donated to parties ahead of the 2020 election. And there's a call for public disclosure of all financiers to boost transparency. This article was on April 17, 2022. So you see, I'm not lying. Eh? The powers that be gave $300 million for a period of only about 4 weeks of election. Yeah. Let's look at the article a little bit more close. Let me share with you a little bit of the content of that article here, if I can just get back to it. So it says here, approximately 300 million was donated to Jamaica's 2 main political parties for the 2020 general election. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica has confirmed and made renewed calls for the law to change to reveal the names of contributors. But the 2 main political parties, the ruling JLP and the opposing PNP, are not enthusiastic about disclosing at this time, fearing the flight of their deep-pocketed financiers. The Representation of the People Act, ROPA, was amended in 2016 to include provisions regulating the funding of elections, a first in CARICOM region, while tying disclosures to a specific campaign period of about 6 to 7 months before an election is due, and from the date of the Prime Minister's announces an election. The campaign period for 2020 election ran from August 11 to September 2. The JLP, which won the poll for the first consecutive victory since 1960s, declared receiving approximately 176 million in contributions, while the PNP reported 122.5 million. The JLP received 44 contributions in excess of 1 million, which total about 169 million. It includes 32 donations between 1 million and 4.9 million, 8 between 5 million and 9.9 million, and 4 contributions of 10 million and over. The 14 of the country's major businesses were contacted by the Sunday Gleaner, and 8 confirmed that they made donations to the JLP and PNP. 2 said it was against their policy, while another 4 entities did not provide a response. Investment firm Proven gave 2.5 million to each party. The VM Group gave 1 million to each. GMB donated 2.5 million to both. The two main telecom firms, Flow and Digicel, said they provided support. Flow said it donated airtime in equal number of slots valued at US 37.5K or 5.6 million Jamaican on its subscriber television platform in which the company inserts advertising. Digicel said it made equal donations to the JLP and PNP but did not state the amount. Food and financial services conglomerate Grace Kennedy said its donation was split equally between the parties, but we do not typically share details about the value and nature of these donations, they said. The Musson Group of companies also did not reveal the value of its contributions, although it said Musson Jamaica Limited and its subsidiaries have a long-standing practice of supporting the democratic process in Jamaica. That's what they call it. The Jane Group directed queries to the Electoral Office of Jamaica. Scotiabank and Jamaica Energy Partners said they did not make political contributions. It is not unusual for some of the top corporate firms to publicly disclose their donations, as several have done so in previous elections through the private sector organization of Jamaica. They're trying to soften this up now. Most of the institutions that confirmed their contributions to the Sunday Gleaner did not indicate the date of their donations, so it's not clear if it fell within the campaign period. Again, they make it nebulous. First test of the system. The ROPA amendments were applied for the first time in the 2020 election, so the data released by the ECJ on the Sunday Gleaner access information request was the first test of the new system. Under the law, contributors may give a maximum of 1.5 million to each candidate and up to 31 million to a registered political party. In other words, watch me now. A big company can, if they wish, donate to 63 MPs that they want to win from either side. They can give them $1.5 million, right? Which means they could give $94.5 million to all the MPs. Plus, they could give $31 million to the party. So this is one contributor, $31.5 million to one party, plus another $31.5 million to another party. So easily, one company can give $157 million to the process. One company, one big company like NCB, for example, okay? So under the law, they can give 1.5 million to each candidate, 31 million to the registered parties. Contributors of 250,000 or more must declare contributions as well as any government contracts valued at 500,000 or more, which are held or gained up to 2 years before or after the contribution. Listen, this is all foolishness, right? At the end of the day, I'll tell you what this is saying. I'm just going to cut it there for now because they fill us up with words and to trick us. Here's the bottom line. These companies can give billions of dollars. They can declare that they gave it to the ECJ, but what does that do? What does declaring? It's good. Declaring is good, so we know who has given if it's published. Most Jamaicans won't go and find the published documents, but let's say it's published. We will know that, yeah, you gave them millions of dollars for the campaign period. You don't have to report what you give them outside of the campaign period. Wonderful. So at the end of the day, all of this is hogwash. It's just to get us to feel like they're doing something, but in effect, remember, they still get to fund these parties and they still get to own these parties. That's why the UIC is saying, stop it all. Don't allow them to give 1 red cent to any of the parties, to any of the candidates. We have a better system of public funding for the candidates so that the candidates can focus on representing their constituents and only representing their constituents, and a system which gives all candidates equal access to media, town halls, and debates so that it's not how much money you have that determines if you can win, but what your ideas and policies are and your own personal credibility. That must be the basis. So the UIC has a much better model, but they're going to keep telling you about reforms and throwing a lot of words at you, but at the end of the day, the system remains the same. Okay? So, Mr. Mackenzie, what are your thoughts on that?
Before we go any further, what happens when campaign finances or donations are given to candidates, political parties, etc.? it has to be done within a certain time. Election is run, GLP, PNP, one wins. All the monies is not used up. What happens to the monies that is not used up?
Okay, so there are two parts to your question. One part is the contribution cycle. So just so you understand, the powers that be can donate money right throughout the year to the party, and they do. Then they have what is called donation within the election cycle. So that little window where we're going to have election, the ECJ say now you have to report that little slice of money to us. But the rest of the money what they give, that no report. That is not any. And even if they report it, it doesn't affect anything because it doesn't do. Which Jamaican cares normally that Grace Kennedy gives $31 million? Which Jamaican cares that Musson gives $15 million? Which Jamaican cares that NCB gives $30 million? So the reporting means nothing. It's good, it's nice to have the reporting, and it's nice to say, declare if you got any special contracts within the 2 years before or after thing, and God he knows if there's any proper reporting or proper follow-up. The bottom line is this, Craig. The bottom line is that they own. You see, it's not just getting contracts, it's having laws and regulations written to protect you, to give you special privileges, not you alone as a person or one company, but a group of company. The regulations in Jamaica are designed to oppress small businesses and to protect big business from small business. It is to keep us in low wage categories. It's to make Jamaica a low wage environment. So all the regulations and laws are designed to oppress the people. But the people don't have a say because they're not the ones funding the parties. The ones who fund it calls the shot, because when they say to you, jump, you better jump because you won't get your 31 million next year. You won't get from this group 90 million next year. You won't get from this person 10 million next year. So you must do the things that satisfy them if you hope to get the funding to compete against the other side. And remember this, the two sides are really competing, But what are they competing for? They're competing to win the election, not to make you as a Jamaican win, not to make your life winnable. That is why Jamaica is so dirty. That's why Jamaica is so corrupt. That's why Jamaica is so unsafe, because they're not focused on making Jamaica pleasant for we the people, because we the people are a minority in their eyes. We don't give any money to them to win their campaign. We the people in general. We the people just go and vote, and they can always count on some of us to vote because they can go to the marginalized communities, the depressed communities, the poor communities, and they can pay you to come out and vote. They can give you some sweetie. They can give you a T-shirt, an armband, a cap, a $5,000 in your T-shirt. They can buy some food. They can hold some meetings. They can drive around in the motorcade, create excitement. And there's some people who that's all they live for. They have no real jobs. They have no nothing. They're just living meager, marginal lives. So if a politician comes around and show them some love, show them some, hey guys, come on, man, give you some cement, give you some zinc, give you a goat, whatever it is, you now feel obligated to them because they gave you a small gift. It's the law of reciprocity. They give you a small gift, make you feel nice that they give you something. The MP did give me something, and pay for my daughter's school book. Him did have a little health clinic in the community and do a pressure check and something, My roof was leaking and then give me a sheet of zinc. These little things, and people value those little things. If you're in a marginal, that's why they don't want diaspora to vote. If the diaspora is going to vote, they can't do that to you. You don't want a sheet of zinc. You don't want a goat. You don't want a bag of cement. You don't want a bag of goat food or pig food. You want good governance. And so they're afraid of the diaspora. They're right now, they're fretting, they're hoping that what the UIC is saying doesn't take off, because if it ever take off and the diaspora wake up and realize that the UIC is their party, if the diaspora wake up and say, but I feel a part of that, and they now decided to fund it, because they can do it. 1% of the diaspora, just 1%, if 1% gives $25 a month, the UIC has enough money to blow the other two out of the water, because our message is sound, Our policies are sound. It's what Jamaican people want and need. So the moment we get to connect with the Jamaican people and they hear, we're going to get back our land, we're going to have fixed address now, we're going to have street light, our kids are going to get a different Afrocentric education that's really geared towards making them truly productive and not just wage slaves. If they ever get this message, it's game over. Game over for these two parties and game over for the PSOJ oligarchs. Because now they can't control what they don't fund. So if they don't fund we, they can't control we. And when we go in there now, because we know who fund we, because we're funded by the people, we can now do what the GLP and PNP could never dream of doing. We can say the regulations now must serve the small man, must serve the people. The laws, the commercial, the giveaways, any kind of tax giveaways or special treatment is going to be given to the small man, to the grassroots man, not to the Chinese company coming in that way, do this and give something on the side or whatever. And not just Chinese, America do it too, and England do it, and everybody do it. Because all these countries that come to us, they're not coming here because they love us. They're coming here to get their piece of the pie. And so this is the bottom line. We have to understand the system, and we have to beat the system up front by all of us now saying, let us rise up and put our little dollar, one coca in the basket, and make it big and fat and heavy, and send the UIC out there and say, give us 63 solid candidates now. Let us give them a run for their money now. Make sure we can see the ads, the mobilization, the transportation, the meetings across the country in every nook and cranny, and let's wipe this slate clean and give Jamaica for the first time a government of the people, by the people, and for the people for the first time. Miss Lisa, your comment.
Yes, I want to add something. I remember the day when $1 US was $5 Jamaican, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that. That's where we need to get back to, or even better, 1-to-1, right? Those were the days. Yes, we still had our struggle, but it wasn't as what we're seeing right now.
It get worse every year. I mean, every year it get worse, Miss Lisa.
It does.
I mean, we're coming from, you said it was, when it was 1-to-1. You remember when it was 2-to-1. You remember when it was 5-to-1, when it was 750-to-1, when it was 22-to-1, when it was 50-to-1, when it was 70-to-1, 80-to-1, 90-to-1, 100-to-1, 150 now to 1, 155 to 1. What on earth is going on? Where does it end? They're going to get to 1,000 to 1. So if you want to assess these two parties, it's very simple. It's very easy to assess. Inflation from 1960 to today, inflation has been 1,893,000%. Inflation. That means whatever you could buy with $100 in 1960, you would need 1 million. Whatever you could buy for $100. This is crazy. Whatever you could buy for $100 in the 1960s, you would need 1,893,000 Jamaican dollars today to buy the same thing. And the trick about inflation is this, and you will feel it even in Canada or the US. It's very simple. If the inflation rate is rising faster than the growth in your salary, you're losing. So let's say your boss gave you a 3% raise right now. And you said, thank you, Jesus, I can now take my wife to somewhere and buy something nice for her and whatever, or my husband. And you're like, you're really cool and happy. And then you wake up the next morning and see on the news, the inflation rate is now 9.5%. You just got a pay cut. You just got a pay cut. So the 3% raise is offset by the 9.5% inflation. So you actually got a 6.5% pay cut on average. And if the following year you get a 3% again, and the inflation rate in that year is say 8%, again you get a pay cut. So every year, even you're getting a 3% raise, you're getting a pay cut every year. And so your life is getting harder and harder and harder and harder. But why me can't get ahead? you work overtime, you work 2 jobs, and you just can't seem to make it. The only way to make it is if you take massive risks and find some kind of business and invest and whatever and try to see if you can get yourself out of the hole. By the way, that's what I did. You know that, Craig. So I had to take major risks. I had to suffer privation, my family, and find small companies that I could invest in at a micro level, small cost businesses, and invest in them. Risk. I mean, you can lose everything. You can lose your entire shirt, But in my case, I was successful. I made it through. And there are many others. Well, I should say many. Few others who have done that. Most of us can't do that. We're afraid of that. And you might lose everything. You might risk for example, let's say you have your house and you've been paying your mortgage and you build up a little bit of equity in it. You say, okay, I'm going to draw out 100,000. I'm going to try to invest in this thing here. You might make a mistake. And now you wipe out the 100,000 you draw out. Now your mortgage now has gone back up by 100,000, right? And what should have paid off in 25 years, which is a long time, by the way. I mean, a house should never take you more than 10 years to pay off. But in truth and in fact, they have built it to take you 25 to 30 to 40 years. The goal is to make you a wage slave for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You understand? And they know that you don't know. How many of us know finance? I spent 7 long years studying to get my CPA. You understand? So how many of us study finance or engage in equity financing and equity capital building and that kind of stuff? Not many of us. So most of us are at a disadvantage. We can't get into the space and invest like a person who has spent the time to study at that level. Most of us are studying our particular job. You're a nurse or you're a teacher, you're a police officer. You study for that. You don't study to make investment. And so they're robbing you systematically. And it has worked. It has worked to keep the vast majority of us as wage slaves. But let's go back now. I wanted to share with you another document, but I won't. I'm just going to jump to who must pay the price. So who really should pay the price for the Jamaica that we need? Should we leave it to the PSOJ oligarchs to continue to pay the price? He who pays the piper calls the tune. You know that little yeah. So it simply means whoever is paying. Back in the days, right, you used to have, somebody would pay for a flute player or somebody to come in, a piper, which is a kind of flute, to come and play for an event. Now, the person who pay for that get to tell what kind of tune must play. You can't have them pay for it and then say, play this. Who you? We didn't pay for it, so you can't pay. So he who pays the piper calls the tune. The PSOJ oligarchs, they pay the price to get what they want. They've gotten it for 80 years. Here's what they've gotten. The PSOJ paid the price and they've gotten what they wanted. They wanted a minority of us to control 90% of the wealth, and they've gotten that. So 10% of them control 90% of the wealth in Jamaica. That means the other 90% of us have to live on 10% of the rest of the wealth. That's why we have so much poverty here, okay? About 90% of us earn less than the US poverty line, believe it or not. And I know when I was on CVM, they chastised me for it, and Bruce Golden said it. Jamaica is a low-wage milking cow for a small set of oligarchs. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying I hate them or that there should be anything bad should be done to them. I'm saying it's the system we're allowing. And once we allow that system, they're going to use it, okay? So most of us are their wage slaves. That's what we are, plain and simply. You are a wage slave. They have you in that category and they want to keep you there. They live opulent lives while most Jamaicans live in destitution and decay. Your house are rotten down around you. You can't paint the wall. You can't fix the driveway if you happen to have one. Your car, you have to skimp on maintenance for your car so it mash up faster. Your roads are in bad repair. You live on bad roads and bad communities and so on. So they live in opulence. They have beautiful homes, beautiful stuff, and the majority lives on the margins. Most of us live in fear while they have heavy security. They have private security that guards them coming in and out of their yards. They have cameras all around the place. They have high fences. They have dogs. They have security at the gate and so on. And you live at the mercy of what they have created, a bad environment. Yeah. They can afford toll roads. while most of us have to suffer on the bad roads. So when they come out, they can zoom across. So they're building all these beautiful toll highways, not for you, for them, but you go and pay for it. So you pay for it if anything goes wrong, and they enjoy it if everything goes right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to own most of our lands, while we have to slave to buy back our birthright. So we have to be slaving to buy back what was ours by birth.
Mm-hmm.
We are slaving to buy back what was ours by birth. And who has kept it in place for 80 years? The PNP and JLP.
Mm-hmm.
They have been now in government since 1944, and then independence in 1962. They have been able, if they wanted to, they could have returned the land to the people and give you a base.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done like Singapore and made us all homeowners with decent homes that we can springboard from and create, intergenerational wealth. But they chose not to. For 80 years, they chose not to.
So let me ask you one thing. The oligarchs I'm just gonna use that term. The oligarchs in Singapore and the oligarchs in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
What's the difference? They still, whether aren't the oligarchs in Jamaica enjoy what they enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
The oligarchs in Singapore
Mm-hmm.
enjoy what they enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Just the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is telling me that I should now tell my friends, my family and friends, co-workers, that, hey, listen, it's not that we all want, a lot of us want to live like the oligarchs. Some want a simple, decent life where they can live in some dignity.
Yeah.
But everybody can still enjoy the benefits of what Singapore has, and if Jamaica is even a reflection of Singapore's democracy, then I think everybody wins here.
Of course, no.
I think everybody wins. So it's not like the oligarchs have anything to lose.
Well, no, to be honest with you, what happened is the oligarchs, okay, some time ago I gave an explanation where I walk us through how we got here. So all of this is based on the colonial model of master slave economics, where by the time they left us, they got us into a two-party system where they would pit each other against each other and so on, right? Now, when Singapore became an independent nation of England, they changed their system very quickly. One, they became a republic right away. Not a true republic, but close enough in terms of they got rid of the monarchy immediately. That's number one. Number two, when the PAP won the first election in 1965, they embarked on the kind of policies we're talking about. So the people never saw any reason why they should vote them out of office. So remember, when we had our first election in 1944 and the JLP was elected, within 2 terms, the people were fed up of the JLP and voted PNP. Within 2 more terms, they were fed up of the PNP and voted JLP. So Jamaica had enough time to build the partisan tribal model, which now the moneyed elite took advantage of. They kind of occupied all the space of the colonial master above the politicians because they're now funding them. So they simply became a creature of the system that was allowed to mature. In Singapore, the system wasn't allowed to mature because the first leader they had made the right choices, first getting rid of the monarchy completely from their system, number one, so that wasn't there. And then number two, the policies that they embarked on, the people could see clearly that this leader and these leaders meant them every good. So after the first 2 terms, they never saw any reason to vote them out. So they vote them back in for the 3rd term, and they vote them back in. So by the time that takes set now, the people just got comfortable and said, but this will work out. So it now became 30 years of Lee Kuan Yew. And in that period of 30 years of complete political stability, with his laser-like focus on a few things, gutting corruption. He made sure corruption, he fought corruption the way you would fight cancer if you wanted to live. So unlike Jamaica, where corruption was not fought, corruption was embraced by our leaders. Everyone, for example, in the 1960s, when the JLP got a huge amount of money to build schools in Jamaica, them thief half the money and build the other schools at twice the price. So half the schools, we got half the schools for twice the price. So we lost a lot of money there. So how did this affect Jamaica going forward? Think about it. At a time when the nation is exploding, where our population growth is happening, we had less school space to teach those kids. So now you have the kids are there, but half the number of schools we needed, but we borrowed the money to build the number of schools we needed. So we now have the debt to pay back, but we now have half the schools, and now we put many of our kids on shift systems, so the classrooms are overcrowded, and we're getting less tuition time in schools. So that action alone by the GLP in the 1960s prepared us for years of failure. Years and years of failure, because now you have a lot of substandard human beings coming out of the system because of that one theft. Now that money, though, made a few people very rich. You call it concentrated benefit and dispersed cost. So the cost was dispersed to you and me. All of we pay that cost with crime and violence and less mentally developed persons. We're paying that price up until today. The JLP people in power at the time, though, and the connected few with them, they would have gotten a leg up with whatever money was stolen. Half of that money that was stolen, that now go to make them more wealthy. Now, fast forward to PJ Patterson era in the 1990s, when they now played games with our finances, kicked out the IMF prematurely to cut off the low interest rate loans that they got from the IMF. And so we're free, but it's a tricky free. They now took higher interest loans from other private lenders, including local banks, which pushed up interest rates magnificently, which reduced the amount of money available to small and micro enterprises, bankrupted those companies, put 44,000 people out of work, but it made a few people rich and caused assets to move from the middle class into the hands of a smaller elite, which made them richer. So that too now, for years now, we're still paying the price of that. Just two examples I'm giving you, just two of many. Two examples, one JLP, one PNP, where we're still paying the price, are still paying the price of their corrupt actions. So their system now has made Jamaica a highly corrupt society where only connection, people don't get ahead here by merit. You don't climb the ladder because you're good. You climb the ladder because you're connected. In Singapore, you can't climb the ladder because you're connected. You can only climb the ladder because you're good. And so their education system in Singapore is very focused on making everybody good. So what happened now in Singapore? Here's a key thing. Singapore, the people are so educated, so productive, that they have to hire people to do garbage collection, hire people to do janitor. They have to hire outside people, import people to their country to do the lower level of work, because all of your people are so highly educated and so highly productive and all employed. Last example of Singapore. So in 1965, their GDP per capita, meaning the output per person, was $550 US. For Jamaica, it was the same in 1965. Fast forward to today, Jamaica is between 5,000 and 9,000 per person. They're over 65,000 per person, US. So if you want to measure how ineffective our leaders are, that's one clear metric. So you get Singapore, they export almost 1,000 times more than we export, using only the land size of 1/15 our size. So they're so much smaller than we, but their export laps us over and over and over and over, because their people are brilliant. Their government make sure it's anti-corrupt. Their government make sure their land is clean and orderly and safe and pretty, attractive and nice for their people. Our leaders didn't do that. But let me finish up this point quickly. So the oligarchs, They have used the money that they have given to our political leaders, to the two parties, to get their outcomes. And their outcomes, the foreigners are taking over our country. They make arrangements, they enter into partnerships to bring them in, and foreigners get to take over our country and make us their servants. They now own our beaches, they own our tourism product, they own all of our major industries, and we the people are pushed out of these things. Because remember, most of us didn't get the proper education, so many Jamaicans will never have the capacity in the short term or medium term to be able to do what they need to do to own these businesses. They're so marginalized now mentally and financially, right? They're also mining away our minerals. And so they're leaving our lands unfit for farming, and they're leaving a lot of sickness in our communities. They're destroying our waterways and destroying our air quality. So after a while, Craig and Lisa, after a while, what you're going to be left with is just a Haiti. They're going to strip us bare, and then they'll just fly out. All the big men, they don't need to live here. They'll just fly out. When they're finished, raped us in different ways. When the bauxite mining is gone, when they said, oh, it's finally done now, we've ripped out all of Jamaica and exported it off, and gotten all of that money, and we've bought our house in France and our house in Italy, and we live on the Rhine and whatever, they can just get up and fly out, just like they do for healthcare right now. And our dysfunctional leaders, those who don't even realize what they're doing, because some don't realize they're there doing the crime, enriching themselves, but not realizing they're making Jamaica inhabitable. They're making Jamaica unlivable. They're making Jamaica ungovernable. So at some point, they have to run away. And they will run away. And they will have the means to run away. You understand? They'll be able to buy a ticket, and they'll be able to fly off to UK or fly off to France or fly off to USA or fly off to Florida, whatever, and just go on. And we, the people, will be living like you said the Asians are living now. We'll be burning down our own places. We'll be chopping up each other and carrying on. And they would have left us in this misery, in this dark dungeon hole that they created. So those oligarchs, they don't care, because they know that if Jamaica doesn't work out, Lee Ching is gone. He doesn't have to be here. But he'll be gone with billions, because even in COVID, NCB made billions. He will have the private beaches and the areas which are walled off. You'll have the gated communities where you're flying on a private jet and come there and enjoy and leave the darkness outside to the rest of Jamaica, and then you fly back out again. So these guys are serious. We need to get serious. So we better wake up, and we have to realize that there's no free lunch. We have to pay the price to own and build our own party, the UIC, to work for us. Our dog went there with supper. We have to dip into our pockets and make the sacrifice, or be the sacrifice of the PSOG oligarchs and their colonial parties. So we either sacrifice and make it work, or them going to sacrifice on the halter of making themselves wealthy at our expense. If we do not unite right now, Craig, unite our time, our talent, and our limited resources, or limited treasure, and fund the UIC to win seats in the next election, we may never have this opportunity again. They're just dying for the UIC to fail. They're doing everything for us to fail. They have people inside and outside the party working daily to find the one little point to break me and to break the UIC. They're trying every day. One guy asked me on one of the shows that I went on, one of the vloggers, what is your breaking point? Because by now we should have break already. What is your breaking point? When do you break? When do you give up? When do you say enough is enough? And he was mocking me when he was saying it, I know, because any sensible person would have given up by now. But for some reason, God, I tell you, God is such a very interesting person. He just planted a seed somewhere and said, you are going to be the Joseph that rescues my people from Egypt. You're going to be that person. I'm going to care where you say that gene, I'm going to drop it into you, and you're going to have to get it done. And so every day when I would like to just say, to hell with this, go enjoy your life. I have 36 beautiful acres of land. I have a whole heap of farming for to do. I have a whole heap of bees for to tend. I have a whole heap of business we can do. I have a whole heap of connection across so many countries. China, India, Europe, America, England. I can go off. I can join the oligarchs for Christ's sake. I could go join them. When I come back to Jamaica in 2011, if I wanted to be an elected MP, that would have happened already. I could join any of the two parties. But here I am, farming fool, trying to do something far more significant and far more meaningful. And they're not going to stop until one of two things happen. Either they break me and break the UIC, or we, the people, rise up and break out of the chain in which they have us.
Why would he ask a question like that? What is your breaking point? Why would somebody ask you a question like that when and they know exactly what you're trying to do? Is either A, they don't trust you, or B, they're just really, really selfish?
Yeah, man. I have Jamaicans spending their time working on me. We have two. We have a history. Jamaica is in its most dangerous place right now, and you have persons who spend all their time focused on if they can eliminate me. You know, and the treasurer is in the room. Let me big up the treasurer. Welcome, Madam Treasurer. How are you?
Good night. I'm good. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, but we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great.
Go
Sorry,
ahead. No, I was going to say we have Lisa on the line. Lisa is the chairman for the finance committee. We have Craig McKenzie, the first treasurer ever for the UIC. And now we have the young, vibrant, effective, hardworking, around the clock treasurer, the youngest treasurer ever in the movement. Welcome, Ms. Williams. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I must apologize though for missing, which looks like an hour of the conversation. So I have a lot of catching up to do.
Sure, you missed a lot, but it's okay because we know that you were working behind the scenes and trying to get here. So no worries. But as I was saying, I'm going to bring you in a bit, but I wanted to just finish. Oh, go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, I'm glad you jumped in because in a few minutes I have to jump off.
Right. And I know you promised you'd give us only 30 minutes and you've been here for an hour and 22. So anytime at all, just drop off when you're ready. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's a pleasure having you on. And it's a pleasure having you as the chairman for our finance committee. And I'm expecting big things from you. You know, help us to raise $1 million. No? All right. So
thank you so much again, everyone, for having me. Thank you for having me. But in a few minutes,
go ahead. No worries. So no, our children and our grandchildren are depending on us. Our ancestors, including Marcus Garvey and Paul Bogle, are counting on us. Our self-respect and patriotism demand this of us. We cannot afford to allow Jamaica to fail. We've allowed it long enough, and the time has come for change. Now, let's talk about how the UIC is funded to make sure people are clear. So let me tell you what is going on in the UIC's finances right now. And it's good that the treasurer is on. As you know, we're the most accountable, transparent, and inclusive party Jamaica has ever seen. No other party is as transparent as us. We publish our annual audited financial statements every single solitary year. We submit that to the ECJ, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, and them get to vet it. The two parties that controls that board get to vet it. So if they see anything untoward in there, you know they're going to come after us for that. And the UIC comes live on UIC Liberty TV, and we walk you through our audited statements and let you know what is going on. Very, very transparent. We have always been open and honest with you about everything. This is both a weakness, however, and a strength. Because while it makes us the most transparent party in the history of Jamaica, it also makes us the most vulnerable by giving the opponents complete insights into our finances and operations. But we know that people are going to be skeptical, and so we have to do this. We have to be very transparent, even though it also makes us weaker by giving our opponents a leg up. unlike the two colonial parties that are funded and controlled by the PSOJ oligarchs, we, by the way, they not only control the PSOJ oligarchs, they also control the media, which is important. So they control the two parties, they control the media, which is powerful. So unlike them, the UIC is 100% funded by we the people, ordinary Jamaicans like you and me, who give $250 a week, $1,000 a month, Jamaican that is, or $25 US a month, or $50 US a month, or $10 US a month, equivalent, wherever you are. That's how the UIC is funded. What do you say about that, Miss Lisa, before you go?
Oh, Lisa dropped off.
She's gone.
Sorry.
Oh, my thing is still showing her. She's shown as frozen. All right, go ahead, Miss Naika. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, like you said, it is either our greatest strength and our greatest weakness to be funded by, the people, because at the end of the day, what you fund, you pretty much own. So therefore, our decisions would be based on what whoever fund us, it would go in their benefit rather. So yeah. So that would be our strength. But in terms of weaknesses now, if since we don't depend on the bigger companies and so forth to do that for us, then we're basically stuck at a standstill. So it's really
Absolutely.
up to them to really bring us to that point.
Craig, your thoughts?
I agree with what Naika says, because, and I mean, I'll give you an example. There's a pothole somewhere in our neighborhood here, and someone just put it on the forum that, hey, there's a pothole, this is the intersection, and within a day or two the pothole is fixed. A day or two the pothole is fixed. So you can see where, I mean, if the people fund what they want, they'll get it. Just like the oligarchs, they fund what they want,
and they
get it. So it's just simple common sense, and I think it's now high time for us as a people to wake up. And I know everyone, they maybe in theory, we all want a nice, beautiful Jamaica, but as the topic is, paying the price. Who pays the price?
Yeah, we
have to pay the price.
It's that simple. So unlike the two colonial parties that are funded and controlled by the PSOJ oligarchs and who own the media, the UIC does not have enough funds to pay qualified and competent staff to run our operations at head office or in the constituencies. Unlike the two colonial parties that are funded and controlled by the PSAJ oligarchs, who also own the media, the UIC does not get $300 million to campaign and buy votes. In fact, we have only one full-time paid staff that serves as both the treasurer and administrative assistant, who works around the clock under my supervision and that of Mrs. Patterson. That's it. We have no other paid staff. The board of the UIC, or the National Executive Council, actually approved a stipend of $167,000 per month for me, and the same for Mrs. Patterson back in April 2022, I believe. Is that correct, Naika? April 2022?
Right.
Now, this is about $1,000, 1,070.
About 1,100.
About 1,100, depending on the exchange rate. So, and that works out to about $278 per week or so. We have never taken a dime of this allocation, but we have been reimbursed for some expenses. Like, we traveled sometime, we got gas reimbursement. We had to stay over somewhere, we get accommodation reimbursement. We pay for like the software for the database, and we get reimbursed for that, and a few other things, I'm not sure. But basically, our board said, listen, we want you to have 167,000 Jamaican dollars, $1,100 per month. But we have never received any of that because the funds just have not been there. Today, the UIC holds me a cumulative amount of about $2.3 million Naiko, or 15,000 US dollars for these stipends that were approved. Yeah. The same amount is owing to Mrs. Patterson as well. So far, we remain the primary keepers of the flame, if you will, suffering every indignity, every betrayal, every attacks from within and without, dutifully making sure that everything works, no matter how imperfectly. We are there night and day to make sure the UIC operates. So we are the staff. We are the backbone of the movement. When anybody else quits or gets tired or has to be away, Mrs. Patterson and myself, and now Naika, we are there all the time to make sure things are done. The financial, the emotional, and the physical cost is massive, my people. Massive. But we do hope that soon enough, you'll be able to join the cause and help to lighten the burden. And that all of those who have been central to the planning, to the organizing, to the implementing of this cause will be able to be funded in some way, shape, or form. Because we cannot expect an organization to run properly without staff. It just can't happen. We have made it happen. We have done what it takes to just survive and make it happen, but it can't work. Craig, is there a church that can function without the members paying for the building and for the pastor?
Absolutely not. I mean, even though the people is the church, but you still need a common place where people can come together and in unity to worship and serve whatever God they believe. Because there's strength in unity, but the people have to pay. Someone has to pay, and the people have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody say it's not the church. That's not the point, Mr. Ellis. We're talking about the idea. An organization does not exist without the membership paying for it to exist. The PSOJ pay for the other two to exist. They make sure so them have office in all 63 constituency. They make sure so when you go to the Manchester office for the PNP or the GLP, staff there. If you go down to Santa Cruz and find the PNP and GLP office, staff there. Building is there. All of these things are being paid for. Who will pay for it? Yes, our PSOJ oligarch friends are paying for it. And that's why they will get what they want, but you won't. So if we do not pay for the president of the UIC, for the officers of the UIC, for those who are going to do the work, bind the organization together, administer the organization, do the planning, do the organizing, and make sure that we have effective implementation. If we don't pay for that, we won't get it. And right now we're struggling to get it because everybody are volunteer. And just one person get paid right now because that's all we can afford from the $6 million or so that you give us every year. And we appreciate it because without it, we'd have dead long time because my pocket couldn't continue to carry it. I remember, Craig, when me and you and Janice used to pay for the website.
Yeah, I remember those days quite well.
Exactly. And we had paid for it every single solitary month out of our pocket. And that went on for years until finally we have persons donating now. Thank God for Elsa Tremblay, John Price, Emma Gordon, Keith Romans, Clive Patterson, Cleo, all the people who are donating to help us to make Janet Chakanowski. Without you, we're dead long time. And they want us for dead long time, but we still hang on. It's like little single mother in Jamaica, like my mother. My mother's a single mother. She had 3 of us living in a one-room house. And she just hang on, Craig. She just hang on, Naika. She has suffered. My mother didn't have no big education. She leaves school at about grade 9 or somewhere there. And she wash clothes like crazy. She sweep street like crazy. She cook blue draws and bake pudding and make ginger beer. And sell everything to make sure that her children had food on the table. You understand me? That is what my mother did. And we are doing the same now with our little party. Broke and poor, but we're putting in the sweat and the time and the energy. And we mustn't make nobody come and tear this down. They make them come talk about the president, I get money. And the president shouldn't get anything. We have to feed the leaders of this organization. If we don't feed them, it will mash up and that them want. They want to bankrupt us. They want to make sure that people come, like the chairman, Winston Wright. Every time that Winston Wright driving vehicle from Montego Bay could do something for we, something wrong with the vehicle. One time him driving home late at night, carrying home some people, all of the front end mash up. $250,000. That was paid for out of his pocket. The other day, I'm going back home from the rally that we have. In vehicle mash up again.
Wow.
Him can't only do the basic fixing to just kind of, him can't do the full fixing, him can't pay for the full thing. He just pay for a little bit so he can go back on the road. These are the things we're faced with. I drive my car up to Balaclava there to go look for an old man that was stranded and didn't have anywhere to live, and we're going to see if we can help him out. Going there, deal with him, coming back out, all on my front end, just tear up. We have to pay for that. Naika, young, vibrant, engaging, brilliant young lady. I mean, I have trained her, I can proudly, I have trained her as an accountant. I'm so proud of her progress. But she could have gone a long time, but get twice the amount of money that she's getting right now. But she's still stuck with the movement, working at less than half the pay she could get somewhere else. She's here putting in the time as 22-year-old. How many 22-year-old going to do that? Going come and give them time and energy like that? Some people don't want to hear this.
I know quite a few 22-year-olds that I work with.
Yeah.
And I've seen many of them come and many of them go.
Exactly.
And they don't care what is happening politically here. They want money, and
that's it.
Where they're working is not paying, they are gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So simple. I mean, she has been here through thick and thin. I mean, the kind of things that she has seen and heard and had to deal with, the average person gone a long time. Because what they try to do sometimes, they try to frustrate you. And when most Jamaicans, or many Jamaicans, if something not going perfectly, they just drop it. If they're not getting any money, they just drop it. So we can't bother with that. That's foolishness. We're not getting the money. And she has stuck with it. So, the point I'm making is we have to pay the price. We have to pay the price. Last year, you, the Jamaican people, here and around the world, you gave the UIC about $6 million. That works out to about $39,000 US, give or take. That's the equivalent of 16,000 Jamaican dollars a day, or $100 US a day that we have to spend. Can you imagine a big organization? We only have $16,000 Jamaican to spend for the day, or $100 US to spend for the day. Contrast that. Let's contrast that with what the PSOJ oligarchs give the other two, or the two colonial parties per day, over just the election period alone. They give them $300 million, and that's what's declared. There's more, but that's what's declared. That works out to $15 million per day that they have to spend. 15 million a day compared to our 16,000 a day. They can spend $100,000 per day, while we can only spend $100 a day. They can buy all the radio, all the TV, all the newspaper, all the armbands, all the t-shirts, all the refreshments, all the transportation, all the public meetings, all the staff that they need. That kind of money every month. We have to save up. We have to watch. We have to count every penny before we do anything, before we go anywhere, before we even think of hiring somebody.
Checking what we have before we can even think of doing anything.
Exactly. So we can't just do anything. We have to always be very skimpy and careful. And some people even dislike me for it, because They want things to be done. And me have to say, but no, we have to check carefully and see what, and we have to think about tomorrow and what we'll be able to do and whatever. And then some get fed up. The UIC should be out there doing this. Out there doing what? How are we going to do it? Oh, you know, when any one of us are doing something, it means we're leaving our job. So if we're going somewhere, so let's say we work 5 days a week. We're going to work 9 to 5. Everybody got to work. And then we're going to do something on the weekend. It means now who will wash the clothes, who will cook the food, who will prepare the kids for school the next day and whatever, and so on. Who's doing that? Normally it's me and my wife. So when I'm out there, it's the two of us. So everything for our house is left because the two of us gone. You understand? And then after we finish now, where's the money for pay the mortgage? Where's the money for put gas in the car, to pay the insurance? To help our kids if they need some help with school or something. Where's the money for all of that? So we need to get sensible, man. We need to stop being fairy tale. They've groomed us to be fairy tale about politics. They've groomed us to just look at the ads and then go vote or don't vote and enjoy the entertainment. That's what they've groomed us for. And we have to get out of it now. We have to say, no. We understand the game now. We understand, as the game said, Uno run things with the money from them, and when we elect Uno then work for them because them pay you. And we have to say, no, the game they done now. We going to pay our guys now. We going to own our party now. And we're going to make sure them have the money. And when them win, because none of them pay them going to work for we. And because we don't work for them going to work against we, and we are going to work for the people. And so the people now will see us like they saw Lee Kuan Yew and the PAP in Singapore and say, I feel a part of this. And we're going to stick with it, and they're going to do the things that must be done. What are they going to do? Lick out corruption from the top, coming down. Lick out crime from the top, coming down. Change the regulations to support the small man, coming up. Build the economy from the bottom up. Give us back the land, but them thief from we and withhold from it for so long. And they're going to give us the Jamaica that we want and make we own Jamaica now. And we grow Jamaica now. And we benefit from Jamaica now. And we can now come home, those who are abroad, and can have a Jamaica that is safe, clean, and orderly. A Jamaica that smell, look, and feel like a tourist resort. A Jamaica where everybody can live, earn, and retire with dignity. And there'll never again, ever, be a GLP or PNP government in the history of Jamaica, because the people would have known the history now and seen the reality now and focus on building a Jamaica that serves the interests of all the people all the time. And that's right there. That is it.
Paying the price.
Yes, that's what it means to pay the price.
Pay the price.
That's what it means to pay the price. And so I think we've said a lot tonight. I mean, I could say more, but I won't. I'm just going to say that I am really thankful for you, Naika Williams, for what you have done as treasurer, Winston Wright as chairman, Janet Chakanowski as the longest serving member on the board, of Mrs. Patterson and myself, Jasmine Powell, who's a powerhouse vice president, just phenomenal. Dr. Coretta Johnson Brown, fresh kid on the block, but she's already showing that she has the mettle to deal with this. Chase Neal, outstanding person with the qualities that we need to help us with policy, to shape our communication. Misha Earl, outstanding photographer, just an all-round supporter. Douglas Harper, Dr. Harvey, one of the longest serving directors as well. I mean, you guys have really made a difference and helped us to continue to be here. You have given your time, you have given your talents, you have given your treasure, you have given everything you could to various degrees to help this movement, go forward. We have loyal donors like Keith Romans, Emma Gordon, Sonia Mignett, John Price, Elsa Tremblay, Rosemary King, Lisa Abdul, Cleveland Harrison, Clive Patterson, Leighton Reed, Leighton Miller, Desmond Myrie. I mean, there's so many of you. This movement could not exist without you. No matter how small your donation have been, no matter how small the time, no matter how small the talents, no matter how small the treasure that you have donated, we could not have done this without you. But the movement now needs 1,000 more donors, giving $25 a month. With this, we can ensure we elect 5 to 10 seats at a minimum, which is enough to hold the balance of power and to hold the parliament accountable and to begin to shift the needle in our direction. If you give us more, we'll win more seats. But if we just get 1,000 persons now giving $25 a month, we will have enough to make a major impact in the next election and win between 5 and 10 seats. If you give what you can now and then commit to giving a regular amount each month, you will make a big difference with your small amount. And that's how we're going to create one Jamaica, because we know that we're stronger together. Have a good night, and thank you all very much for your contribution.
All right. Take care. Good night.
Good night.
All right.